Now we want to delve a little deeper into the growing controversy over the U.S. Postal Service. Talking to Fox Business yesterday, President Trump had this to say about why the White House and Democrats are deadlocked on a stimulus package.
They want $3.5 billion for something that'll turn out to be fraudulent. That's election money, basically. They want $3.5 billion for the mail-in votes, okay, universal mail-in ballots. They want $25 billion for the post office. Now, they need that money in order to have the post office work so it can take all of these millions and millions of ballots. Now, if we don't make a deal, that means they don't get the money. That means they can't have universal mail-in voting. They just can't have it. So, sort of a crazy thing.
ABC's Devin Dwyer has been reporting on this, and he joins me now. Devin, there's a lot of outrage about this, but I want to clarify. Is he saying that he's trying to block the Postal Service from being able to deliver mail-in voting, or is he using this as leverage for a stimulus deal?
Well, there are a lot of claims flying here, Diane, but here's the bottom line. Despite the president's warnings, there's no evidence right now that the post office can't handle the volume in mail ballots this fall. The Postal Workers Union told me just this week that they think that the election mail this fall will be a cakewalk. The president's own Postmaster General is breaking with the president. He says they can handle this just fine. They'll deliver it on time, whether or not they get that money the president's talking about. So it's not clear, Diane, how much of this is leverage for these negotiations. But one thing we do know, the president seems to believe deeply, contrary to any evidence, that mail-in voting only helps Democrats, even though that's just simply not true.
And, Devin, what about fraud concerns? The president in that same interview references issues with mail-in voting in North Carolina, New Jersey, and Virginia. What do we know about these cases, and should we be worried?
Well, mail-in voting can be messy. We've seen it happen. There can be delivery delays, erroneous absentee ballot applications landing. That was what the president was referring to in Virginia. A lot of ballots thrown out in the primary in New Jersey this year because signature matches didn't hold up. These things happen every year, and there's no evidence here, Diane, that the cases the president mentioned amounted to fraud. Election officials, though, I talked to say they remind us there's potential for fraud in every form of voting every year. There are isolated cases, but there are verification procedures in place in every single state. ID requirements. You have to send in a photocopy. You have to check the signature when the ballots are received back. And of course, there are witness signatures in a number of states. So it's much more difficult to vote fraudulently than some might make it seem.
And I know that you spoke to the president of the American Postal Workers Union. I want to play a clip of what he told you.
We handle on the average almost 500 million pieces a day. It's routine to do national mailing. This is not a question of capacity. It's not a question of any fraud. It's a question of how fast the mail moves through the system.
So, Devin, he sounds confident on capacity and security, but not so much on timing. How important is that?
Yeah, and timing is critical, Diane. In most states, believe it or not, ballots that are received after Election Day are not counted, even if they're postmarked before the election. So advocates say their biggest worry, though, right now is actually the staffing and operational changes that are underway at the post office. There's an overhaul taking place right now at the post office, being put in place by President Trump's own Postmaster General. And one of the nation's top election lawyers told me just yesterday she's very concerned about that. Take a listen.
We are hearing complaints from virtually every part of the country that people are not getting their ordinary mail delivered in time. Many of these are Black voters, Latino voters, and other voters of color who have been disproportionately hard hit by the pandemic and who want the option to vote by mail in 2020.
This overhaul, people are complaining that it's causing these delays. So why do this now, knowing the election is right around the corner?
Yeah, and that's a question, Diane, that members of both parties on Capitol Hill here in Washington are asking. Some are calling for an investigation. Why overhaul the post office right now, just weeks before the election? The post office tells us these delays are temporary. They're part of these changes. They'll go away, they say. There's no deliberate political intent to slow down ballots. But here's the bottom line. If you want to vote by mail this fall, you can request your ballot right now. And advocates say you should do that right now. And when it comes in the mail in September, October, vote right away. Don't wait until the last minute. Diane.
All right. Good advice, Devin. We appreciate you breaking it down for us. Thanks.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.